Hey, welcome to the I'll Be Living Life podcast. If you like my content, kindly hit the subscribe, like, and notification buttons. Today's special guest is Kim. She's an Instagrammer. Her handle name is kim.noyce, and she also lives in Australia, so that's kind of cool because you're the first guest from across the waters. So welcome to the show, Kim.
Thank you very much, Albie. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome. I usually pick 3 of my favorite shots for my guests, so we kind of just talk about that. So we can start with, so we can start with one you posted about 5 days ago.
Right.
It's got it looks like a sunrise. The sun's hitting the pavement like really nice, or the trail really nicely there. The trees are on either side. I love pictures like that where it's kind of the orange. Too. Yeah, the orange just kind of highlights the trail. Yeah. Yeah, you want to give a little... talk about that?
Yeah, so I post a lot of sunrise, mainly sunrise pictures, I guess, not so much sunset, because normally I'm an early bird, so I do try to get out of bed early, and because it's very hot here in Queensland, so get out before the sun rises, and I just love that time of the morning when I'm basically out pretty much on my own. There's a few other people, all the crazy people out at that time.
Yeah.
But I just love to watch the sunrise. And this particular walk that I was doing, I do most mornings when I go out. I've been doing it probably for about, 15 years now, the same walk. And,
cool.
It just tends to, just the angle and the places that I walk there catch the sunrise perfectly.
Yes.
A lot of my photos are the same walk, the sunrise. And that particular one was just, in that particular spot. I know where it rises.
Yeah.
So...
That's kind of the perfect shot for me. I like the orange on it. I like the blues in it. I like the greens in it. Like, I think it's...
I did enhance it a little bit, as you can probably tell, but I do like to enhance my photos a bit to make them a little bit more colourful and to show the shadows sometimes, like the light and the dark.
Yeah.
But that was a gorgeous sunrise. I was so glad I made it out of bed. So, yeah, love that one. That's my morning walk. When I talk about my morning walk, which I do quite often, I think... on my sunrise photos, that's where I am.
Oh, okay. For me, I think every picture needs to be color corrected a little bit. And that's...
I agree.
Yeah, and that's just my opinion. I think it needs to have that pop factor. You have to draw the eyes of fellow Instagrammers on it. You have to bring the more the natural colors out, because sometimes when you capture it with a camera and what you see with your eye is completely two different things, right?
Most definitely, and I think, all of my photos are done on my iPhone. I have an app called Snapseed, which a photographer friend of mine actually put me onto. He said, look, download this app, it'll really help your photos. He said, because they're great photos, but it just helps to enhance them a little bit, especially my rainforest ones. It really sort of... because the rainforest is so green.
Yes.
So it just helps that green not to blend so much.
Yes.
It gives you different shades. So,
Yep, I totally agree. I think color is the most, other than keeping your photos straight and, in line with everything.
You did mention that, actually. Are my photos straight? I don't even know.
I think they are. For the most part. I didn't dive too deep into it, but it looks straight to me from what I'm seeing.
Quite funny. I'm quite pedantic about a lot of things, but when I did hear you mention about straightening the photos and something about the sunrise being on, was it the horizon?
Yeah, that was all
my
goodness. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's always, that's kind of the first thing to do, is make sure the picture is kind of straight, meeting up with the horizon sort of thing, and then after that, I think it's very important to add some color into it to make it more of the natural thing. I don't know, overly saturate it with colors, but maybe just, add a little hint here and there. I think it helps the pictures out a lot. Yeah, for sure.
It depends what mood I'm in. It really depends on what mood I'm in.
I agree.
I love to really overdo it a bit, and it's like, wow, that's really changed the whole look of the photo.
Oh yeah,
because
for sure.
To me, a photo is more like a piece of art to me, because I am an artist. I do like to sketch and draw.
Yeah.
And so I like to take a picture and see what I can do with it.
Yeah.
And I think my particular page anyway, if you look at it, it's very full of colour.
Yeah.
I am noticing that when I'm looking at it now. It's very full of colour, so I definitely love a lot of vibrant colours. I love flowers and sunrises and just the colours of nature, Yeah,
me too. Let's go into your second one, Lake Windermere. That's on April 2nd. It's a nice green pasture there with some nice colors in the trees. what I like about this is the mountain colors, like some of the reds and the oranges and the blues and the greens in there. I like that mix there.
Yes, the Lake Windermere
Yeah.
with the mountains.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so that was from our trip to the UK, our very first trip, my husband and I, back in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
That was in October, November, so not too long before the pandemic
Okay.
hit, so we were extremely lucky to get that trip in.
Yeah, no kidding.
We went via Hong Kong. Our kids live in Hong Kong, visited them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we spent a month in the UK and we did a road trip, which was absolutely gorgeous. Got to see a lot of the English countryside. Lake Windermere is in the Lakes District. I'm not quite sure if you're familiar with the UK.
No, I'm not familiar.
No.
I need to get over there. That definitely, because I'm actually half English, so.
Oh, you must get there then. You
Yeah.
will love it. You will love the countryside. It's just so green.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be snapping thousands of pictures once I get over there.
Oh, you will.
Yeah.
You'll have thousands. But anyway, the Lakes District, if you're a hiker, which I know that you are,
Yeah.
that is the place to go. We wanted to do the 3 peaks in the UK. I think there's Scafell Pike, Ben Nevis in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
What is the other one? I can't remember, sorry.
Yeah.
But there's 3 of them. And we wanted to do Scafell Pike, which is only just down the road from where we stayed in the hotel.
Okay.
Which is right on the lake in Lake Windermere.
Yeah.
But by the time we got to the Lakes District, we're on our way back to London after like a month of sort of travelling.
Yeah.
And we'd already climbed Mount Snowdon in Wales.
Yeah, I saw some of those pictures of Mount Snowdon.
Oh.
Those are some nice pictures too.
That was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Yeah, Snowdon. That's the highest mountain in Wales.
Okay.
So we met a guy, my husband met a guy online actually, who hikes in Wales because they both have a Fitbit and they do these sort of competitions and things on Fitbit.
Yeah.
And anyway, he took us up Mount Snowdon. I'm getting off track, but yeah, Mount Snowdon was gorgeous. Anyway, we wanted to climb Scafell Pike.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we got there, we were too exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
I also have an arthritic condition, so by that time I really just couldn't do too much else.
Okay.
So, but yeah, Lake Windermere, absolutely gorgeous. So if you hike and you want to climb that Scafell Pike when you go to the UK, definitely recommend that. And there's lots of trails all around that area. Just picture like green rolling hills, little country pubs, very, very tiny, narrow country lanes when you're driving.
Okay.
With little stone walls either side. Just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, that's a really nice shot. I like that shot. It's very peaceful.
Mm.
Okay, we got the third picture. What I'm going to talk about is the Peak of Hong Kong. And that's on March 26th there. I lived there for a couple years myself, and I have been up to the peak. It's quite amazing. Oh, yeah, it's quite amazing up there. Because
how did you get up there?
Oh, I think we took the tram.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we took the tram because the tram goes almost diagonally up the hill, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, please be safe.
Oh yeah, because you can go roller coastering down the hill, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You're very much just on a straight. Yeah, you're just going vertical, aren't you? Up
Yeah, mountain. You are. Yeah.
Yeah. So that photo was taken. That was at sunset actually, because that year my grandfather decided to come to with us to Hong Kong. He was 80 years old at the time. He's 83 now, I think. Okay. And so he came for a trip to Hong Kong to spend Christmas with us and the kids because my nan passed away that year.
Oh, okay.
And he absolutely loved it. We just took him everywhere, and we took him up to the peak, and it was so busy. We waited in line, I think, for about 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, you got to go early.
Holiday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But it was actually really nice to catch the sunrise up there. Normally when we go, we tend to go in the morning.
Yes.
And it depends, like you know, on the day as to whether Hong Kong has a clear day or a not so clear day.
Yeah. They rarely have clear days, eh? That's what I noticed. And when it is clear, the sun doesn't really... I don't think I've ever needed my sunglasses there, really. You know, it's kind of weird. I don't know.
Yeah, most of the time, like you look out of your apartment building, and you're like, now is it going to rain or is that just sort of smog or what is that?
Yes, yeah,
It's hard
exactly.
to know.
Yeah.
But I have been to the peak on an extremely clear day and I could just see for miles and miles, like islands right out in the ocean. Have you been up there when it's really, really clear?
Yeah, I have, and it's really neat because you get to see all the big skyscrapers below you, right?
You
And
do.
that's quite the amazing sight from up there for sure.
Oh, it's breathtaking. It's breathtaking up there. And yeah, so we caught that sunrise and then we had dinner. Took my grandfather in there to Bubba Gump's.
Okay.
Have you been to Bubba Gump's?
Yeah, I've been to other bubble gums, but not in Hong Kong.
Well, it's a great view up there.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I said, we watched the sun go down, and then the lights all come on in the city, like all the skyscrapers, and it was really beautiful.
Yeah, that's a great shot.
Yeah.
So
I love it up there.
let's talk about some of your hiking in Australia and other places such as like Hong Kong and stuff like that. So with us here, what we have to worry about here is we worry about bears and we worry about cougars. Those are the
And
two.
that makes my heart pound when you say that.
Yeah, it's quite the rarity to bump into a cougar here, but it does happen,
Yeah.
but it's very, very rare. You know, if you see one, you have to kind of make yourself big and you back up slowly. You got to try to shoo it away or whatever, right? But bears here
Have you seen one? Have you seen a cougar?
well, a cougar actually came over to my neighbor's yard and stole their puppy and took off. And yeah, so it pretty much killed their puppy. Other than that, we've had a few cougars around in our area. Lucky for us that the conservation officers actually caught most of them. It was quite a scary time there a few months back when we had about 4 of them wandering around our neighborhoods and not scared of anybody. Yeah, and they don't. Well, they normally come down from the mountain and then they just leave once they see humans. But this year, these ones were pretty aggressive. But yeah, anyways, the bears here are kind of skittish. They're almost like big squirrels.
What sort of bears do you have? Are we talking about like grizzly bears?
No, so we have black bears here, and the black bears are pretty. They don't usually cause too much of an issue. There are cases out there that they do attack. Depend. They are still, an animal, and not one that's tamed either. So right. So yeah, it's.
And I guess. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, does it just really depend? Like, I guess now it's springtime over there for you, isn't it? So does it depend? Like, if they got baby cubs, that's probably not a good time.
Yes. So that's basically what I was going to say was just the cubs that are, if they're around, then you have to be careful. But if it's just one bear, you kind of just freeze and let them go by or let them leave or go somewhere else.
I'd have no problem in freezing.
Yeah, and they kind of just leave everyone alone. They just kind of go on their own way. Yeah. You just back up slowly and you're fine. But the only ones that I've been in hikes where my buddy and I would go on some hikes where they had grizzly bear warnings, and that's a different story. So if you ever bump in their grizzly, then yeah, if they come near you or if they're charging, yeah, you're gonna have to fight for your life there for sure. But with Australia, like I've done hikes in the States as well, where I've down to Arizona, like so I worry about rattlesnakes and all that kind of stuff, right? And they got cougars down there as well. But with Australia, like there's so many, I guess, like deadly snakes and spiders and all that stuff. What are the stuff that you need to worry about?
Yeah, it's mainly snakes.
Okay.
It's mainly snakes. I mean, I am paranoid about snakes. I mean, I know that not every snake is dangerous, but it doesn't matter to me.
No, it doesn't matter to me either. I hate snakes.
I'm just not fond of them. So, I mean, most of the time the snakes that we come across, and we do come across some really big ones, I'm talking like meters and meters long, to 3 meters or so.
Yeah.
But they're the pythons, and they're really not, they're not
super poisonous.
Yes, venomous.
Yeah.
Deadly.
Yeah.
They're not going to kill you. If they give you a bite, they can still give you a nasty infection because they feed on vermin like rats and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So if you see that, I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm scared whether I see a non-venomous one or a poisonous one. Most of the time, I don't know about over there, but most of the time snakes will leave you alone. They hear you coming, they sort of get off the path. The 2 deadly ones that we have really when we go hiking, one is a red belly black snake, so it's black and obviously it's got a red belly underneath. and they can get quite big. I've seen a couple of those, but they're quite shy. They do tend to still just get off the path and move away. But the one that you don't want to come across is this eastern brown, because he is very aggressive. He will actually come at you.
Wow.
Thankfully, I mean, we've seen a couple, like their tails crawling off sort of thing. But when I've even been driving out, I used to do work as a field interviewer and drive out into the country and visit properties. And one time I'd stopped on the side of the road to take a photo of an eastern brown, which was crawling across the road.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually came at the car, and it raised itself up and was like coming at the car.
Wow.
So they're very aggressive. And when I got to the property to interview this guy, he said to me, oh, that's, I forget what his name was, that's Fred or whoever, he's just a local around here, but be careful, because when you park the car, he said they can actually climb up underneath into your engine. He said, you might take him home.
Dang.
So when I got home, I got my husband to check underneath the car.
Yeah, you go
to
check.
make sure he hadn't come home, yeah. But mainly snakes. Let me think. Well, spiders. We do have dangerous spiders, yes. The most dangerous one, which is in the rainforest where we hike, is the funnel web spider. Okay. I don't know whether you've heard of that one.
No, we have the black widows here. So
Black widows. Okay, well, this is a big hairy thing. I think it's the female that's venomous, I think. She burrows right down into the hollows into the earth and everything. But you don't want to get bitten by her. She's extremely deadly.
Okay.
Never come across one of those, thankfully. Most of the time you don't. You know that the animals are there. But in saying that, probably a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we went hiking in the rainforest. This is down Gold Coast hinterland, Lamington National Park. And we've always known that dingoes live in the rainforest. And we've been hiking for years and years. And anyway, we're walking along the trail, and I always make my husband go first because he's the snake watcher. Yeah. And he's just stopped dead in the track, and we're coming around a bend, and I just stopped. I was like, uh-oh, because I knew that he was serious. I said, what? There's a snake. He's like, no, there's a dingo on the trail. Yeah. And he was just standing there, like, eyeing us off. And then he took off into the bush. But I was sort of worried about him circling back around and following us. But I don't know whether he did or not. But I moved pretty quick after that. My husband said, geez, for somebody who's really tired, you can move when you want to. But he was a gorgeous creature, really beautiful fur. He was a red dingo. They come in different sort of colours. But he was gorgeous. But we actually saw a dingo, which was exciting.
Well, that's kind of cool. Yeah, it's just like us. I mean, cougars are just, beautiful creatures, right? They're very sleek and powerful. I mean, bears are just gorgeous creatures as well. They're, they look so cuddly and all that, but not really. But yeah, no, I out of all the animals out there and the reptiles and all that stuff, I hate snakes the most. I'm kind of like Indiana Jones. I can't stand snakes. So
we do.
Yeah,
I'm the same.
I went and lived in Hong Kong with a snake charmer. All he did was he provided snakes to the Hong Kong movie industry. So here he is. Wow. He's got I'm not kidding you. He had 50 something snakes in a room, and they were all in cases, right, glass cases. And one day he was standing there with his girlfriend next to him, and he had an albino rattlesnake. So it was wrapped around his arm, and then I come in the room, and I'm like, holy shit, what are you doing, right? And you hear this thing start going, right? And I'm like, oh my god. So then he whacks it on the head, and it stops, and I'm like, oh well, that's great, but I'm glad you have them. And I stayed back a bit, but then another time he showed me a glass case, and he goes, do you want to see a viper? And I go, sure, I wouldn't mind seeing a viper. And then so then he shines his light into this glass case, and I'm like, I can't see it because it's in between two other cases and it's dark. And then I'm looking, so I get closer by the slits area, right? And that's where the vents are for the thing. And he goes, oh, don't get that close. And as soon as he said that, the two fangs came through the vent. And I kid you not, this thing was probably, I would say, maybe 3 inches away from my nose because I'm trying to look at it. And that literally locked up my knees. And you could see the venom coming down from the two fangs. And I went, holy smokes. So,
God, you literally came eye to eye
with a viper. Yeah, with
Oh
a
my
viper in its
goodness.
fangs, but thank God it was in a case. And he's like, "Oh, don't get that close." And I was like, "Holy smokes!" Like I didn't
Might have been
expect
nice
that.
to tell you before you got that close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Wow."
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
my heart's going just listening to that. Like, yeah, I do have a phobia for snakes, understandably, because we do get them everywhere.
yeah. You
But
have them more there than we do. We just have the gardener snakes here, and those are fine.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But in Hong Kong, they actually get quite a few snakes too. There's been some big ones over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No
So.
thanks. So I see you're about to set up a website for your poetry and stuff.
Yeah. My daughter's been helping me out because I'm not the most techno sort of person.
Mm-hmm.
So the power of technology and Zoom and everything. So she's literally been setting it up for me.
Okay, that's cool.
So it's been wonderful. So I'm going to be blogging. I'm going to be blogging on there
Okay.
and also promoting my poetry. I have a poem that's getting published this month in
Very
an
nice.
anthology.
Good.
Yeah. I'm part of a group called Superheroes Unleashed. So this is their first volume for an anthology, and it's got short stories and poems. So this is my very first publication, so I'm sort of excited about that.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so setting up this website, which I'll put the link on my Instagram page. It's just personal blogging, just my own stories really.
Good.
So
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll look forward
Yeah.
to seeing that.
Yeah.
So do you have any questions for me?
Tell me, how did your love of hiking begin? What got you into hiking?
Well, I think I wish I started earlier. So I think I started
Me too.
about maybe 10 to, I want to say about 10 to 15 years ago. And I was only kind of doing it sporadically about 10, 15 years ago. And then
Right.
I started doing more of it in the last 10 years. So now,
That's just around Vancouver, like where you live.
yes,
or-
everything's around
Yeah.
Vancouver. I mean, I've done
Right.
a couple down in the States, but that was it. And
Okay.
then all of a sudden COVID hit and the borders are shut down now. And I had one planned in Utah last year, but then of course I can't.
That's
So I'm
meant
gonna,
to be beautiful.
yeah, so I'm gonna wait for that. But
Yeah.
other than that, no, they're all local hikes, anywhere from an hour hike to about 6 hours hike. That's kind of what I do.
Right.
I don't like
Yeah.
the backpacking. I don't like staying overnight. I don't want to. I don't want to be dinner for food for animals out there.
Me either.
And my kind of and I know a lot of people laugh at me for this, but my kind of camping is at least a 4-star hotel with running
Oh,
water.
look, I'm with you there.
Yeah,
I'm definitely
yeah.
with you.
It has a TV and it
Yeah.
has a washroom.
Yeah, hot shower.
You betcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm not
definitely.
too.
I don't mind roughing it, but then
Yeah.
comfort at the end.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my style.
Ah.
What got me to it, I think, was I started slowing down on my sports. So I used to play pretty high level baseball and softball, and we also played a lot of ball hockey here. That we were pretty active with that. But as I aged and more pain started to come after games, that
Yeah.
my buddies and I decided just to fold up shop and just started maybe taking it easy. And I'm not one to sit still. I really like to
I'm the
to be
same.
active. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like going out on hikes. I think that's kind of my thing right now. Maybe later on I don't know what I'll take up, but I'll figure something out. But the hikes are good for now for the next little while anyways.
They are, aren't they? They don't really cost anything. You just go up in the mountains and,
Yeah.
in nature. And have you ever considered doing, I know my husband and I,
Mm-hmm.
or before COVID hit, I mean, I was actually meant to come to Canada
Mhm.
in May.
Yeah.
And a few weeks before that trip, I was coming with a friend
Yeah.
of mine to do a road trip, and it ended in Vancouver.
Yeah.
But that got scrapped.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so that's still on our list because I definitely want to come and hike and see your beautiful country. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah,
But,
it's
my question is, would you ever like to do we would like to do it's called Camino de Santiago, so it goes from France all the way across Spain,
Okay.
right across the other side. So I don't know whether I can physically actually do it now.
Holy smokes.
But we would plan it the same, like you said. We would plan it so that we could stay in nice hotels along the way. We take this sort of luxury way. It's
Yeah.
meant to be like a pilgrimage sort of hike. But would you ever consider something like that?
Yeah, as long as there's places to stay.
Yeah, nice places.
Yeah, I would definitely do something like that. That's kind of cool. Yeah, that's kind of like I would do something like that, but not I like there's some really nice hikes that I want to do up here, and I know a couple of them are okay. You can do it in 9 hours, so I'm thinking, okay, do you just book it up and come it back down, sort of thing, or even 10-12 hours? I'm like, hey, you can probably do this in the summer and get like one, but you'll be bagged, right?
Yes.
But yes. I'm okay with that because I used to play hockey for hours and be okay. I don't know about fit now, like maybe chubby fit, but yeah, we're okay.
But you still got stamina. Obviously.
Yes, I still got stamina. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely COVID has thrown a wrench into a lot of things because now we're kind of restricted in our own area. Like actually today, I went with my buddy. I met my buddy and my eldest, and we went up to a local hike that's not too far away, maybe like a 20-minute drive. And I didn't even know it was there, actually. I knew it was there, but I didn't know it was there. And it was, there's 500-something stairs there. And then there wasn't much of a view of anything, but, a couple pictures I snapped of some of the stuff there. But it was good because it's local and it's quick. You can get it all done in an hour and a half or an hour or whatever. So...
And it's always so nice to do a new trail, isn't it? It's just so exciting to go somewhere that you haven't been before.
Yeah, for me, most of the time, I think I would do a trail, if I really enjoy the trail, like I've done the Cedar Summit about over 10 times. And that's at Squamish. You hike up there, and by the time you get to the top, you take the gondola down. And it's kind of neat that way because you don't have to beat up your knees coming down, so you're actually taking the gondola down.
But coming back is the worst, isn't it, on the knees? That's
sure. And then at the top there, you can actually get a pitcher of beer or cider or whatever, and they got a barbecue up there, so it's really nice.
I like that. I like that idea.
So I've done that thing like over 10 times, but for all the other hikes, I've either hit it once and then I'm done, so I get my pictures out of it, or I hit it no more than 2 or 3 times. That's about it.
Yeah, no, when you say that with the cider and the beer, it just brought back a memory. When we climbed Snowdon, there was actually a cafe at the top of Snowdon, and it was so cold. They actually closed the cafe the day after we hiked because the snow was due to come and everything.
Oh, okay.
But it was so nice to get to the top, and we had these big Welsh oggies, like a pasty.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
Meat and and a hot cup of coffee.
Yeah, it's such a nice reward.
Yeah. So what's your favourite hike then around Vancouver? Which is your favourite hike?
Well, everything's a little bit different. So if you're asking me about waterfalls, I would love going back to Crooked Falls. That's in Squamish. If you ask me one of my favorite hikes, I'd have to say either Cedar Summit. That's one of my favorites. If you're talking about glacier lakes and all that stuff, I love Joffrey Lake. I think Joffrey Lake is a really nice one. That's up in Pemberton. So that's a 3-hour drive. So I actually stayed up in Whistler and then we went the next day because you want to beat the crowds. If you don't beat the crowds, it's going to get really busy there. So there's a lot of really nice hikes. And I mean, even out in east of us where Mission and Chilliwack, we have so many nice hikes here that I can't really pick and choose. They're all different.
All different and beautiful.
Yeah, they all have different views. Yeah, they all have different views. There's different types of waterfalls that are kind of neat, the way they fall, the way, some just looks a little different. And like the one I use for my podcast, the picture I used for my podcast is actually no more than, I'm not kidding you, it's about 7 blocks from my house. And then after that, I get out of the car and it's about an hour and a half hike to get to it. So,
Geez, so it's all very handy, all on your doorstep.
Yeah. So, I can't really pick a favorite one.
No, I guess I'm the same. They're just all different, aren't they? And you can hike the same trail and yet it'll be different every time you hike it.
Yeah.
Whether the sun's shining or it's raining.
That's right.
It's just different. But we both love hiking, that is for sure.
Yeah. It was great having you on the show.
I
hope you had a nice time as well. If you're not following Kim, please give her a follow. She goes by kim.noyce, and she also has her hiking Instagram page as well, which she has a link under her profile picture there. So, you're welcome. So this is it for this show, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks.